Hey. This is T1 Day. So I thought I wanted to do a little live video here, mostly because I wanted to cut out a lot of the tech stuff and I wanted to give some help to Irene Diamond's T1, and I thought it would be really useful for everybody else's. So I'm going to quit fidgeting around here in a minute here as soon as I can get comfortable, but I've got my coffee. This would be the official T1 thread as well. So when you launch your T1s, if you will just put, hey, I launched my T1 in the comments below, that would be awesome. And what I'll do is I'll let them pile up for a little while. And then for anybody that's launched their T1s, I've got that special course I'm going to give you access to. I don't want you to go through it now. I want you to save it for later on because I don't want to overwhelm and bombard you. But that's the Passive Cash Flow Mojo, which has sold for $6,000 in the past. Sold lots and lots of those at $6,000. But it's just kind of my little way to give you a little extra incentive to get those T1s out there. And because I love to do it, I want to give it to you. That's part of the reason why. Remember on these T1s when you send them out, so hopefully you have your T2 and your T3 written. But you can send more than T1, right? So don't freak out like if you just don't quite get the response in the T1 that you want. And don't freak out if you get a ton of response. That's actually a great thing as well, right? But I wanted to give you guys some more focus and help, specifically with Irene Diamond in mind. Not that she needs more help than the rest of you, but sometimes when we talk in specifics, it can really help everybody out. So Irene, as far as I understand it, helps licensed massage therapists, and she's putting on a live event where she's going to go over a new technique that she's pioneered, or one of the only people that's teaching it and or helping pioneer, called myofascial technique. So I did a little bit of research on it. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I don't need to know a whole lot about it based off of what I'm telling you. So what she's having trouble with, and this is a common sticking point, is like, what are the present pains? How do I, other than just say you're going to make more money in less time, like what can I point a finger at, right? So what we want to do is put ourselves in our client's skin or eyes as much as possible and kind of live out the day. But we want to live it out in two different ways. One, we want to live it the before they get the myofascial training from Irene, and after they get the myofascial training from Irene as much as possible, right? So very often I would just kind of sit, and I'm assuming like a lot of her people are women, but it doesn't really matter if they're women in this particular thing. But so if I put myself in their skin and I like, what is it in my life that, I wish was better, right? As far as what I'm doing, right? So I'm imagining myself, somebody comes in with some pain, they want some relief from pain. Maybe it's their shoulder, maybe they're having some TMJ issues, but they want some relief from pain. And part of the reason why I'm in this business, I would assume, is because I want to help give people relief, right? I want to help them be in better health, and I want to give them relief from pain. So while the money might be a reward, as I'm doing this, like after we're done, like what's happening, right? What's happening after they're done with that? So the way I look at this is like, what are they seeing? Like, use the senses. What are they seeing? What are they hearing? What are they feeling? Even taste and touch sometimes. Don't go overboard with it. Well, don't say like you'll smell the money, right? But what is it happening in their life in the before picture, right? So I would think like if they spent this time and the client came in and said, boy, I'm really hurting today, my TMJ and my neck, it's been awful, I'm hoping you can fix it, and they spend all that time with it, and then the client says something like, it's a little better, right? It's not much different, it's a little bit better. Man, that would be something that would be like hell, right? That would be hell for the LMT, right? Or the licensed massage therapist, the massage therapist. That would kind of be hell, right? The response that they're getting back from their own client, right? So what would the after be, right? So you can either sit down and write all the befores down, or you can play with them before and after, doesn't really matter. But what would the after be? So the after they come to Irene's training, so I would maybe just put in the after picture. Remember we talked about that? Maybe a picture of Irene, right? And maybe her training there. So it'd be Irene is kind of like the help and the magic here. I wouldn't normally recommend doing that, like get a mechanism, right? I don't know myofascial enough to understand like what we can use as a picture for that. But let's just use Irene for now. But what would the after be? Like what would the Heaven Island be in that specific instance, right? And to me, it would be like, okay, so we finish up, and the client gets up, and they're like, "Oh my God, Irene! Oh my God, it's so much better. You're a miracle worker. Oh my God, let me give you a hug. Oh my gosh, you don't know how bad that's been hurting me, right?" And then they ask how much it is, right? And they're like, "I'm going to double this, right? Because this is so worth it. Like you're a miracle worker." So to me, do you see that's a copy point right there? We could go, we could say, and we're going to go over a couple more maybe, but bottom line is we could say something like, "Hi, this is Irene. I'm putting 6 licensed massage therapists together at my place in San Francisco. And this could be specifically for massage therapists that want to go from hearing, oh, that didn't help very much, to, oh my God, you're a miracle worker," right? And now she might want to back it up a little bit. Now, I can't promise to make you a miracle worker, but this is one of the big things we hear more often from our clients is them giving big hugs and telling them how much of a miracle worker you are, right? And while the accolades are nice, what's also a lot of my therapists are so excited about is they get bigger tips and bigger checks, right? So let's pause it at that point, right? But even that right there, we can say, "I'm curious if you would like to join us." And that's going to be pretty powerful, right? Just that thing from going, "Oh my gosh, like this didn't really help much," to, "Oh my God, you're a miracle worker," right? So, but that would be very specific. That's something you can point a finger at, right? That your clients are saying that, right? So, another thing is, and again, I'm making some of this up, but we want to compare and contrast, right? So again, go back to that before picture. So if somebody has an acute case of TMJ and they've tried everything to help it, and you think that on the before that you tell the client, well, it's going to take at least 12 sessions before you're going to see any noticeable improvements, right? Well, on session 1 and 2, they're getting up like, well, that didn't help very much. So I sure hope that's going to work faster, right? Or work as you say. And the after may be, and again, I don't know this to be true, but the after may be, maybe with your myofascial training, they can actually do it in a quarter of the sessions, right? Or half of the sessions, and get from that, "Oh my gosh, I'm in pain," to "you're a miracle worker." So what does that mean, right? Does that mean they have to lower their prices? No, most people would rather pay more if you could help them faster, right? So you can make that a package. And if they're doing half of the sessions, that means that the licensed massage therapist is working half of the time, right? And I wouldn't just say work half of the time. I would say, I don't know what the traditional therapy is, but with traditional therapy, like it might take 12, 24, 36 sessions. In my experience, what we're doing, usually we can get massive pain relief and massive help in 5 or 6 sessions, right? Again, something you can point at from 36 to 5 or 6. Now, again, I'm just totally making that up, right? But what does that mean? That means that your client's going to be happier because they come in less often, you're working less, and what the client is really after is the result. So you can make the same amount of money in half of the time, right? So now we're really building on this, right? So I'm just winging this from the top of my head. So, hi, this is Irene. I'm putting 6 wonderful licensed massage therapists together for a myofascial training in San Francisco. And these therapists are going to are excited to go from, boy, that session didn't help a whole lot, to, oh my God, you're a miracle worker, and all of the hugs, notes, and accolades, right? A lot of these of our people that go through this training will get much more compliments. They'll write bigger checks for tips, but also you'll, in my experience, we're going to go from the typical pains, TMJ or elbow, whatever you're helping with, needing 36 sessions to only 12 or 18, right? Now, what does that mean? Now, you don't have to go too deep in there. Most people are going to extrapolate that, but that means that you can charge the same package rate, but do half the work, and not only will you be happier, your clients will be happier, and again, you'll get more gifts in the mail, right? Don't people give, when they're really, really happy, they give baked breads and gifts in the mail, things you can point at, right? So what are the things you can point at? Would you like to join us, right? Again, so we're just kind of building on that, but we want to get into the client's skin and see things through their eyes and see what is going on with them. Again, seeing, what are they seeing? What are they hearing? What are they feeling? Even taste and touch can be if we say, and this is really great too if you can use real stories, right? You could say, just the other day, one of my clients was telling me one of her patients sent her some banana nut bread for Christmas, right? Isn't it neat? All the Christmas gifts we get once you become the miracle worker, right? And this is what this myofascial it will help you hear more of, right? So those are the things I think they would be very, very powerful. But the more time you spend in the before and the afters, the more email ideas you're going to get, the more powerful it's going to be on the pointing back and forth, right? So we could also turn this feel around to their own self, right? So I saw part in the email where Irene is talking about without hurting yourself, how to give these massage therapies without hurting yourself. So that may be another issue. If the massage therapist is in so much pain from doing all this themselves, right, this technique, it could be less pain, right? But how does that play out, right? How does that play out in their lives, right? So maybe maybe it's it's only noon, it's before lunch, and you're already in so much agony, your hands are in so much agony trying to relieve pain from other people, that you're not taking on the workload that you could, or it's just making life miserable, right? You're popping aspirin, maybe even popping other pills, but again, what's happening, right? Maybe you're having your massage therapy for yourself, right? Because you're going through all this. So that would be a feeling thing. What are they feeling? What's the before and after, right? But I think for this T1, if I'm anywhere close to the game there, Irene, I don't know if you're on or not, because I know you may be at your clinic right now. But I think that would be a great place to start from, because I think that a lot of healers are in this to heal people, right? And they feel great when they get that appreciation and they feel like they've helped. So when they spend an hour with somebody on the table and they get up and they say, well, yeah, that helped a little bit, maybe that's the big thing you go after, right? What they want is oh my gosh, that feels so much better. Oh, thank you so much. You are a miracle worker. Your hands are gifts from God, or whatever it is, right? But those are the accolades that they want to see. And I would be willing to bet that even with the money aside, that that would be a powerful motivator to get a lot of people to fly out to San Francisco if they could just hear a little bit more of how they're helping. Gosh, you're the miracle worker, right? Going from that didn't help that much to hearing more, oh my gosh, OMG, you're a miracle worker, right? I think just that one pain point alone would totally help. So Irene, I hope that was helpful. Guys that are watching this, I hope this is helpful for you. You want to spend some time in the skin, right, of the people that you're serving, and get out of the internal thinking, right? What is it they're seeing? What is it they're hearing? What is it they're feeling? What are the situations, right? And a really good way to do this is to think about your past clients that you've helped. Like, who's a past client that you've helped? What was their story? What are they able to do now, right? So I've got a client. He was I think he was my second Mojo man, that started out when we first started working together. His family lived in a house that he called the ghetto. They would actually have police patrolling the grounds for drugs and stuff, and he moved his family out of that area and into a nice home, right? So, and he's got 4 kids. He's a pastor at church. So lots of different things, right, that I can point to. He also tells a story. Here's a great story that we've used many, many times. But by the way, he's a stock trader, and he teaches how to trade stock and invest in stock and stuff as a trader. But he was in a hotel room with his father one day, and he was making some stock trades, and his dad got interested in what he was doing. And he said, son, what is it you have there? And he's like, well, this is my trading account, right? And he was explaining to his dad, I started the year here with this amount of money, and now I ended, I'm right here now. I don't remember what time of the year it was, but now I'm here. And he was telling him the gain and everything. And his dad looked him in the eye, put his hand on his shoulder, and said, son, I'm proud of you. And I'm like, dude, when he told me that story, I'm like, do you know how many men are out there that would give anything just for a little bit of pride from their father's eyes, right? So we started using that in his VSLs and his marketing, right? And it made a huge difference because that was a very, very big motivator, right? So I can use that story, as something to point to before not having the father's pride or what have you, after having that respect. So that story, getting their father's respect and pride and such. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. I did want to just do this as a live so that you guys would have it immediately as you're getting ready to write your T1s. Please post that you've done your T1 down below. I would love to see that just for my own self, and knowing that you guys is making a transitional and transformational difference in your life. And that's going to be, I wore my green shirt today because that's going to be the money day, right? We'll start that off. And again, don't freak out. Like, if you don't get the response that you want, just go back and, are we pointing to a present pain? Are we pointing to a future gain? Are we pointing to the plan? Do we have a clear plan? If we get all those things dialed in, it's like having the 3 numbers on a safe dialed in, right? But we have other shots at it, right? So, and then if we get the responses on the T1s, we don't get them on the T2s or the T3s, that's okay. We will handle that too, right? We can totally figure that out. We'll talk about that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central. We'll meet up on our old Zoom link. We'll just, it's just going to be strictly Q&A. So that's it. I'd love to hear your comments and posts, and T1 launches below. Talk to you later.